Alrighty, good morning. It is the top of the hour. My name is Shauna. I will be your host for today's webinar. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing over here at Evisys, located in Vancouver, Washington. We have a jam-packed webinar today. We're talking all about finding success in your back office operations, how we can be successful, and a lot of other things to cover this morning. So thank you for being here. Before we get going, just a couple of housekeeping things. Like I said, my name's Shauna. If you have any questions for today's webinar, down in the lower right-hand side of your screen, there are three little shapes kind of forming a triangle. Click on that and hit the button Q&A. Type any questions you have through today's conversation, and Shannon Stein is our panelist. She will pop in here and there to ask those questions and make sure we get you answers to those. This is a conversation, it's a dialogue. I can only talk for so long, so I'd love to hear your guys' questions and see if we can brainstorm some really good tips and tricks for you today. So to the topic, we are chatting, like I said, all things back office and back office success. And I'd like to just pause for a moment before we get into the meat and potatoes and talk about why this is important. I think there's a couple of things going on in the world. One, most of you that are on the line are at a crossroads in your business right now as we speak. Either you're just coming off of your busy season, if you're more of a winter company, hearth, stove, those sorts of businesses, or you're getting ready to ramp up into your busy season. If you're pool, hot tub, right? We're headed into the spring and summer. So you either likely have some back office cleanup work to do, organization to do coming off of busy season, or you should be setting the stage right now before you ramp into busy season to make sure that your teams are set up for success. And I just want to mention back office is something I believe is overlooked often. And it's because when we are in, especially a softer year, like we have been for the last couple of years, we're really trying to rebuild off of the pandemic numbers. We oftentimes are laser focused on our revenue generating departments, our service department, our sales department, front of house, and our back office falls to the wayside sometimes. And I just want to point out why it's so important that we don't let that happen with an analogy for you. I'm not a sports person, but I understand them enough to be dangerous. So my analogy is all about sports. And the reality is a winning football team, a championship team, they don't just win because they have really good players. They don't win because those guys go out in the field and figure out what to do every single day. They have an entire support system, right? They have a head coach. They have multiple assistant coaches. They have people that fill their water. They have PT. They have so much support to ensure that they are successful when they go out and they can focus on what they're really there to do. And that is the back office. The back office, I always refer to as backbone of your business. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Your business, I always imagine kind of a circle of life, right? You have all of your departments that feed into one another to bring that client full circle, to bring that customer journey full circle and give them the best experience possible. So the three topics that I'd like to chat about today that we'll break down and give some tips on are we're going to talk about invoicing, we're going to talk about job accountability, and then we're going to talk about inventory. Those are the three categories that I believe if you focus on those three, you'll be really successful and you can find some really big wins along the way. So to start, let's talk invoicing. Invoicing is something that's often an afterthought, or we just invoice the way that we have been told or have always done it. It's not something we look at very often in terms of changing. And I have some pretty proven strategies to keep your aging AR as low as humanly possible. I have a motto that we don't chase money. That is not something that we do. That's not something that is a good use of your business's time. You should be compensated fairly for the work that you do in a timely manner. And I believe that if you set realistic expectations with your customers, they will follow suit. They will do that. They will respect you in that way. So a couple of tips that I have for you all when it comes to invoicing is set up really clear expectations with first of all, your internal company, the people who are communicating with your customers. Set up clear expectations. A couple of examples might be on the service side of the business. When somebody calls to schedule a service appointment, your dispatchers and your service schedulers let that customer know, no problem. We'll go ahead and get you scheduled. We just need to put a card or a payment method on file. We don't dispatch without that information, right? And it's a hard line in the sand. We just don't. I'm not saying that you have to use that card when we fulfill the work, but we do have to have some payment method on file in order to dispatch. It's a respect for the company. It's a respect for you, making sure that we are taking care of, the people that are prioritizing this. So not dispatching without a card on file. Now let's move to retail sales. Retail sales, again, card on file or payment method on file is really helpful, but bare bones, bare minimum, we have to take a deposit. If you want us to hold a big ticket unit for you or order one for you, we must have a deposit. And your company will decide what's best for you and what the market will bear. I've seen anywhere from 10% to 50%. I really love somewhere in the middle. I think the beauty is usually somewhere in the middle, around 20, 25% or so. Is really digestible for folks. So making sure that they have a deposit. And again, it's a line in the sand. We will not hold inventory without a solid deposit. And we definitely will not order inventory without a solid deposit. And then the other thing that I don't see people do as often, but I think it's a huge game changer for your business. And it's going to take some coaching and some accountability, but we don't deliver a big ticket item without payment in full prior. It keeps things really clean on the back end. The salesperson, in my experience, is responsible for collecting that payment. They are the ones with the relationship with the customer. So and it all starts way earlier in the sale, right? I sell you a hot tub or a pool and I say, great, let's take your deposit. Is this the card that you'd like to make your final payment with? Yes, it is. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and store that on file for you. And we take final payment 72 hours prior to your delivery date. Mr. Customer, I'm going to shoot you over a text on that day and just let you know I'm going to run your card. If you could just emoji me back and give me a thumbs up or say yes, I'll go ahead and run that and I'll email you or text you the receipt. Does that sound okay? And 99% of the time, the answer is yes. The 1% that it's not is, yeah, I really want to bring a check in, or we're going to, use a HELOC to pay for this. No problem. We just need to have that in hand 72 hours prior. I want to make sure that your pool doesn't get delayed. I want to make sure it's in your backyard and I live up to the expectations that I set today. So please make sure that's done. And I'll text you about a week prior to remind you. Okay. And then if that doesn't happen, right, you're in communication with that customer. You're letting them know there is a chance that your hot tub or your pool delivery might be delayed. We need to make sure to take care of that final payment. And if you set it up early in the sales process, it's really not an issue. Your customers expect it. It's written into your contract lingo. It's all there. It just really isn't a problem. You just have to take the leap of faith and do it and then have clear expectations. And then let's get to the nitty gritty of how do we do this, right? We're selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units a year. What does this look like? We're processing thousands of service orders. Who's invoicing all of these? What does that look like? With a lot of software, but here we're talking about Lou. In Lou, there is an incredible process. It's called Mass Invoice and Pay. With literally 3 clicks of a button, you can bulk take payment for all of your reoccurring orders, run all of those cards on file, and send the receipt to your customer with just a couple of clicks, 1 click for each of those pieces of the process. It is so easy, and you can take thousands of payments and send thousands of receipts within a couple of minutes. And then Lou just does all the work on the back end, processing those and running those through. There also is a program that we have where the merchant processor will run the cards that you have on file in the background looking for new expiration dates. So I know in my business prior, it was definitely a lift when cards would decline to call those customers and say, your card's expired, we need a new one. You have really two options for that. One, the best option is using ACH, encouraging your customers to put ACH on file because bank accounts don't expire. So you never have to worry about that. People don't get new bank accounts often. So that's really the best solution. And your processing rates are as low as humanly possible. So ACH would be my first kind of motive and push for the customer. And you can offer them a small discount because the reality is that small discount is going to pay dividends on your P&L at the end of the year. Or if they have a card on file, we can run a program in the back that just searches for new expiration dates so you're not dealing with expired cards. So software makes invoicing really easy, and then having really clear processes and expectations in place make invoicing easy. Second topic I'd like to talk about is job accountability. I think this is something you might not have expected us to talk about here at a software company, but job accountability is so important across your company, of course, but with your back office particularly, it is really important that the folks in the back office understand what their initiative is and they understand their point of position on the team, right? How are they pushing the company towards winning or, pushing it towards losing? What is their position and how are they helping to achieve the goals that you have in place? So a couple of things with job accountability. I think it's really important that there is a one-sheeter of sorts that has every person and all of their accountabilities and when they do them, so that if anyone in the company has a question about when is this warranty claim being reimbursed, or when do we order big ticket items, or how often do we order our chemicals, all of those sorts of questions should be easily represented on a one-sheeter that's on your company drive where anybody can access it. On Wednesdays, Sally does all of our warranty copays. On Thursday mornings, our Jackie does all of our big ticket purchasing. And what's beautiful about this is a couple of things. One, things don't get lost or forgotten about. Those warranty claims that you've had sitting for 2 years, thing of the past. We don't do that. We get reimbursed. We submit the claims, we get reimbursed, and we are respectful of our manufacturers. And secondly, it creates some real urgency for your sales department and your service department. If your sales department knows that Jackie does purchasing on Wednesday mornings, when somebody comes in to buy a hot tub on Monday afternoon, I'm telling the customer, listen, we have a couple spots left on the truck. I know that you're in a hurry to get this unit, and I know that color is really important to you. So we're going to custom order you a hot tub, but I have to have your deposit and your paperwork on file by Tuesday before I close, because Jackie's going to order that truck on Wednesday morning, whether yours is on it or not. And if you miss that spot, it could be a couple more weeks before we order another truckload. So let's get you handled right now. Let's get you taken care of, and let's get that hot tub on that next truck so that we can get it in your backyard before your 4th of July party, right? It helps your salespeople have those tangible and that real information to share with the customer so that they aren't calling, they're not putting things in on Thursday afternoon saying, hey, can you make an exception? I didn't know, I wasn't quite sure. I know we do it differently every week, so I just wasn't sure. It gives them a lot of confidence when you have consistency in your back office of when things are done and who's doing them, and they have visibility to it, so they can have accountability. I think humans want to be accountable. We just sometimes don't make it super easy for that to happen. So having a one-sheeter, clear accountability for everybody who does what will be really helpful for your business. Before I move on to our third topic, Shannon, I'd love to check in with you to see if there's any questions that have come through so far about those last two.
So far, we don't have anything.
Beautiful. Great. Well, just a reminder, if you do have any through the conversation, the little shapes on the bottom right-hand corner, hit the Q&A. I know it's a bit different than some of the chat bots. So those little shapes and hit the Q&A button. We'll get those answered for you. Third topic I'd love to talk about is inventory. I just have to say, if you don't manage your inventory, it will manage you. It will hold up all of your cash flow and make it really hard for you to move your business forward if all of your money is tied up in inventory. So a couple of tips for you. Again, back to strong understanding, but having guidelines in place for how you order and when you order are really helpful for the whole company to understand. If a service technician needs a part, they know they need to get that paperwork in and payment from the customer by X date, because that's when we order parts from that manufacturer, right? Just clear expectations across the board. The next thing is reorder alerts. Lou does this beautifully because we're really built for these industries and we understand what you need. Reorder alerts are powerful. It's the way that you can automate your inventory replenishment based on your terms, what you want. So here's just a little example of what one reorder alert inventory item might look like, but you can set them up seasonally. You can set them up by stock site. So for those of you who have what I call rolling stock sites, all of your vans and trucks, you can set up reorder alerts that are different than maybe your showrooms or warehouse. And you can do it seasonally. So if there's something you know you sell a lot of in the summer, but not in the winter, perfect. Make it as such. So that reorder alerts need to be set up for your business. I think it's a non-negotiable to set them up at least for like your key top selling, maybe 50 SKUs or so, your chemicals, your parts that you sell a lot of, the things that you're moving regularly, set up those reorder alerts. And then on the day that you set those reorder alerts, if you set them up next, go to your calendar that day and set up a calendar appointment for yourself for a half of a day, 1 year from now, to review them. This is the lost leader. Truly, this is something that a lot of people don't do. They just set it and forget it, and it's not useful in 5 years if you've just completely forgot about it. So annually, please go in and make sure that you're auditing them. Have we stopped selling this item? Do we not sell it anymore? And our reorder alerts aren't accurate? Or have we ramped up in this one service tech loves this purging product that we brought on and they're just selling it left and right? We should probably up our reorder alerts on that for that service van. So just think really clearly about it and just make sure that you're disciplined in going back minimally annually to look at them and update them as appropriate. The last tip I have for you on inventory is alignment. You must be aligned with everybody that has a piece of the pie in your inventory program. So something that I found really useful across a lot of companies that I've worked with and spoken with is a 30-minute inventory touch base once a week. Again, it comes down to discipline. You might not think that you need it, but you probably do. There's a lot of value that comes out of those meetings. So you bring in who does your purchasing, you bring in your sales manager, you bring in your service manager, you bring in the person that oversees kind of all the inventory as it flows in and out. Maybe your delivery coordinator, if you have one of those. Anybody who has stake in inventory numbers should be in this meeting. You bring metrics to the table. So you bring numbers like best-selling SKUs reports. You bring numbers like just your inventory valuation as a whole. That should be the number you're starting with every single time. What is our inventory valuation? And as a company, do we have a threshold? Do we have an inventory number that we say we don't ever exceed this inventory number? And as we get close to it, we start to move things, we start to slow down. Are you monitoring it? That's really important. So you're bringing metrics to this meeting: inventory valuation, slow selling SKUs, best selling SKUs, things you've been sitting on for long periods of time. Your service manager should bring a list of obsolete parts, things that they're seeing just aren't moving at all that you've had for years and years and years. And in that meeting, you make decisions. You have conversation and then you make decisions. So coming out of that, we say, okay, all the obsolete parts that service manager brought up, he's now responsible for going and posting those on eBay. My marketing manager is going to create a newsletter that has a sale this month for all those duck floaties that we thought were going to sell. We thought we were going to blow up with those, and we've been sitting on them for a long time, right? We're going to liquidate those duck floaties. My sales manager is going to run a special on these 12 hot tubs that we've had in stock for 6 months. They haven't moved. They're in less than ideal colors, and we got a good deal on them. So sales manager is going to run a promo on those with some really fun spiffs attached for the salespeople. And my delivery coordinator sees that we've been sitting on these 5 pools that were supposed to be delivered, but contractors are delaying. So she's going to get on the phone and she's going to push and she's going to figure out how we can get those delivered. And the inventory manager is aware of everything that's going on. They have the warehouse organized and they can support everybody in those endeavors. So that meeting is really important. And then you come back 1 week later and you have the same conversation. How did it go? Did we find success? Are we still sitting on these things? Can we get creative? What does that look like? It's really important. It'll be really helpful for you. So that's really what I have to say about inventory. It takes everybody working in harmony to maintain ideal inventory levels. So make sure that it's not a one-man show, that it's a team effort and everybody's in the loop. So those are the 3 topics that I had for today. I know I talked pretty quickly. Hopefully everything was captured, but we talked about invoicing, job accountability, and inventory. And with that, I would love to see, Shannon, if we have any questions that have come through.
Yes. So reorder alerts are currently based on quantity on hand available. And the question is, how can we get the reorder alerts to be based on not just available, but also reserved, the ones that are currently on order, because we know those are going to go out the door.
Yeah.
But we need to include those in reorder alerts.
Yeah, that's a good question. We can definitely put that in as feedback for sure. I think every business is a little bit different. And to give you a bit of the why as to why it's quantity on hand available, and we don't take anything else into consideration currently, is because we don't know when those are going to be delivered. And they might not be delivered, right? So invoice numbers in lieu, and in most business, invoice numbers are the source of truth, because until it's invoiced and until it's in somebody's home, it could be canceled at any time. So you might have 10 of those things reserved and 6 of them end up canceling. So really good question. We'll definitely take that piece of feedback. But today, yes, it is just quantity on hand available that's pulling from those reorder alerts.
The other question is regarding reorder alerts. How do we include those that have already been placed on order on a purchase order in whether or not the alert is triggered?
Yeah. Do you have a good answer to that question, Shannon? I'm just processing it.
Yeah, I think that one's a little difficult because, I mean, so much like having them reserved, there's a lot of things that can happen. So I placed the purchase order with my vendor, but what if it ends up being back ordered? What if I end up getting different quantities than what I originally ordered? Now I'm basing reorder alerts based on a quantity I don't technically have yet. And I think that starts to get a little tricky. So I can see business reasons for wanting to include that in the count, but I think overall we're trying to use reliable counts in what triggers the alert so that we're helping maintain accurate inventory numbers.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where my head's at too. And just to add to that, the difficulty, or the reality rather, is that the computer is just a computer. It doesn't have the knowledge that you have. It doesn't have the intuition that you have. And so we do have to just pick a lane and go that direction. It can't pull in all of these different gray scenarios. yet. Eventually we'll be able to, with the enhancements in AI and things like that, we'll be able to move that direction. But today that's just not realistic. So it's like you have to have kind of the science and the data, and then you also have to do the heart check. And that's where the human and the software components have to work together to make sure that ordering is realistic.
Another question we have is an easy one. Is this going to be recorded, and where can I receive a copy to share with my service coordinator?
I love easy questions. I love hard ones too. I love it all. Yes, this will be recorded. You will get an email. I was going to mention it at the end, but I'll mention it right now. Keep an eye on your inbox over the next 24 hours or so. You will get a recording for this, and then you'll also get a request to sign up for next month's webinar. So that will be coming to your inbox in the next 24 hours.
They would also like to know if Lou interfaces with QuickBooks.
It does. We do have a integration with QuickBooks Online, and it will roll up your GLs for the day and send them right over to QuickBooks. So you can do all of your accounting, journal entries and everything over there. Yep. So you have that as an option for your accounting, or we have Lou's built-in accounting, which transcribes every invoice, every purchase order, everything into your balance sheet and income statement. So there's really no manual work that needs to be done besides reconciliation. So Lou's built-in accounting definitely is the simplest way, but if you choose to use QuickBooks Online, we absolutely can facilitate that with our integration.
Then we got a ton of questions coming in. This is great. Are there any back office capabilities to take customer profiles and send them mass email marketing campaigns?
Oh yeah, so we do have some marketing ability in Lou. We don't have mass email marketing yet. We've toyed around with it back and forth, and we've had a lot of conversations internally, and where we've netted out currently is there's a lot of things that you need for your business within our software: inventory, warranty, customer management. I could go on and on and on. And there's a lot of CRMs out there that do it really, really well already. And so we've made the decision that we don't want to compete with like HubSpot or Salesforce right now. We have other priorities that we think would be more beneficial for your business. So you can export, and pretty much anything in Lou can be exported out onto an Excel document and then uploaded into your CRM to put into drip campaigns, mass email marketing. There's some free ones out there. Emma is one that comes to mind that's really inexpensive, and you can just upload your customer data into there and then start rolling them into drip campaigns. What I've done in the past with something like that is I would pull it out of the software monthly and just make sure that that list was updated. It would take me like 30 minutes once a month to make sure that my CRM had all the same information. But we also have APIs where you can connect Lou with your CRM, and so it can be auto syncing that customer data all the time.
So then we also have a question. Has there been any progress towards techs being able to see SKUs on work orders in an app in the field?
Yes, there has been so much progress on this. We heard you guys loud and clear. We've been working diligently on the back end, but we have a brand new generation service app that will be coming out later this year. More to come on that. There will be lots of communication that goes out to you, but that is definitely like the number one thing, along with a lot of other improvements that will be in this new application. So we heard you. It's definitely in the works, and that and a lot more.
So you kind of already spoke to this, but I'll say the question again. How do you export a bunch of unsold customers to an external document? So I'm assuming these would be customers that don't have a sales history, that haven't been purchasing anything recently.
Mm-hmm. There's a report. I can't remember the report name off the top of my head, but last purchase date. Shannon, maybe you can check, or maybe you remember.
Yeah, there's a no purchase customer report that's available that you can run a list of the customers that haven't purchased anything for different time frames. I think it's like 30 days, 90 days, 120 days, and so on, that will allow you to target those specific customers you might want to make outreach to.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect.
And then we have how do you use workflow and history buttons on the invoice profile?
Yeah, so that's a newer feature. We have a couple support articles and videos walking you through how to use them. I'll grab your information after this call off of the recording and make sure that we personally send you that information. And then if you still have questions, we can set you up with an account manager to go through some training and tutorials. But long story short, or big picture for workflows, it can be as broad or simple as you want. So if invoice history, you want to, I don't know, maybe you put a tag on there that's called thank you card, or a tag on there that's called 1-year anniversary call. You can put different series of tags on those orders, those invoices, that trigger different people to do different sets of action. So maybe it's that for all of the invoices, I want Shannon to personally call them and say, thank you so much for your business. We've really appreciated doing business with you. Is there anything we can do for you at this point? Or maybe they purchased a big ticket item from you and you want to put them into an anniversary call drip campaign. You put that tag there, your marketing manager goes and puts them into the drip campaign appropriately. Lots of different ways you can use them, and every business is going to use them very differently. So there's a lot of different use cases. And then history is similar. You can see all of the history and everything in according to those workflows and tags.
And then the final question for now is just a clarification that Lou interfaces with QuickBooks, but not QuickBooks Desktop. And that's correct. It is QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, that's correct. QuickBooks is pushing really hard towards QuickBooks Online. And so we saw kind of the writing on the wall, and we didn't want to do the work of doing an integration twice. So QuickBooks Online is the path that we went. And that's what it works with now. However, you can export your financial data any time of the day, any day you want, any amount of times in a day that you want. And you can import those into QuickBooks Desktop, Sage, any other accounting software. It just won't, the automatic push won't happen, but you can do it anytime you want manually with a click of a button.
Yeah, and then just to clarify, Lou does have an all-inclusive accounting module, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. All-inclusive. It's built right into Lou. The only requirements is that you're on our enterprise plan. We have two plans: our Pro plan, which is a great beginner bundle, and then our enterprise plan, which has a lot of integrations included in it, and accounting is free on that plan. So it's easier. There's no manual data entry, and you're not paying for another accounting software. So in my mind, it's a lot of wins, but every business will make that decision for themselves.
I think we hit the end.
Okay, I think we're there. I think we've done it, you guys. I just want to circle back to the conversation. First of all, thank you guys for your questions. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you found some value. 3 takeaways on this call, I believe, that could be really big wins for you if you're not doing them already. From an invoicing standpoint, don't dispatch without a card or payment method on file. Start that process. You can start at any time. Just Monday morning, come in and say, this is what we're doing now. We're taking payment on file before we dispatch, and that's a new process. Second tip for you, job accountability. Make sure that everyone in the office has accountability on a one-sheeter that's visible to your whole company. And then third takeaway on an inventory front is weekly inventory touch bases with your key players on the team to get aligned and make inventory decisions. So 3 pieces of homework. If you're not doing those things already, you should start, and then give me some feedback on how they're helping your business. If this was helpful to you, and if you found any of these ideas interesting and think they could work for your business, but would like to dig in further, we do offer business consulting as well as software consulting. So we have the best of both worlds where we can give you business tips and tricks. We do business with over 600 companies. We've seen a lot of different things. We've seen a lot of things work and a lot of things not work. So you could learn from mistakes that we've personally made and wins that we've personally had to expedite your success. Just email support@evasis.com and just ask for a quick call to talk about consulting, and we'll go over your business, your needs, your growth plans, opportunities for improvement, and then we can provide you a custom quote for consulting, whether it be virtual or on-site in your business. And then if you're not on Lou yet, welcome. We would love to work with you. You can go ahead and scan that QR code on the screen to request a demo. And one of our account executives will be in touch with you quickly to set up a custom one-on-one demo to walk you through the software and talk about a lot of those features that we talked about today and show you how they could intertwine and really complement your current business processes. And then, like I said earlier, keep an eye out next 24 hours for an email in your inbox from us. We'll have the recording to this call, and then we'll also have an invite for next month's webinar on April 9th, where we will be talking, we will be expanding on this conversation that we had today, going in depth on busy seasons. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate the time, and I hope you all have a great week and a great rest of the quarter. Have a good one.